Now, a lot of people didn't like the comic Reign of the Supermen. I did. It has been a long time since I've read it, and while doing these reviews, I've deliberately kept myself away from the comics because I want to give the movies as fair a shake as I can. So I just remember the basic story and a general feeling of fondness. But the consensus is that Reign of the Supermen isn't a very good comic. But then again, Death of Superman wasn't a very good comic either, and they managed to get a great movie out of that. So we had a great movie based on a mediocre comic that relied far too much on people's pre-existing love of Superman. Let's see if we can get another great movie out of a sequel comic that most people consider to also be mediocre. So when we start off, it's been 6 months since the death of Superman, the world is in mourning, and there is a conversation about what it means for the world now that he's gone. It is also reported that there are mysterious people taking up the mantle of the Man of Steel. We have Steel, the Eradicator, very creative name, especially when you find out what he actually is. Cyborg Superman, and oh my god, it's 90s Superboy! Look at him with his leather jacket and his cocky grin and his lame teenage boy pickup lines. Oh, Connor, I missed you so much, and you can get to fuck. Alright, I know we're less than 2 minutes in, but I have to say, I love 90s Superboy, and they did him so well here. I don't want to harp on about Young Justice too much since I've done that enough already, but what were they even doing with Superboy there? This character is probably the best thing to come out of 90s comics. That was a weird time where everything had to be brutal and angst and pain! And also every character had to have muscles growing out of their eye sockets. Not that I have anything against muscles, quite the opposite is true, but that era took it from beyond aesthetically pleasing into the realm of absurdity. So Superboy as a character was a breath of fresh air, and was also a teenage character that embodied the tropes of being a teenager, but was also very interesting and sympathetic and likeable all in one. If you would ask me to describe his character from the comics, I would say, imagine a teenage boy, but the best version of a teenage boy. Clueless, loudmouthed and cocky, but also good-hearted, sociable and well-meaning. Seriously, this character just had such a fun personality, and if I had encountered him as a teenage girl, I would definitely have had a crush on him, but as a grown woman, all I can say is, oh you. It was bad enough when Jeff Johns just completely rewrote the character, and I don't know what's worse, that or Young Justice, because both of them took the character from being all personality to zero personality. Young Justice made him an angry, angsty, brooding ball of nothingness. Seriously, there was nothing to that character. They had potential for something with Superman's rejection of him, but then they said, it's fine. 5 years later, it's fine. No, we don't need to deal with all that pesky character relationship building. No, just time skip, and everything's fine now. We don't need to talk about it. It's fine. I don't think Jeff Johns was as bad, but the character there was just more airheaded and socially awkward. Superboy. One of the most sociable, attention-hungry characters of the young hero generation. He is an attention seeker. He loves the spotlight. He loves talking to people. He loves flirting. He has a really funny and great relationship with Tim Drake's Robin from the Young Justice comics. Really, it's just so good, and it felt like these writers understood this teenage character and weren't doing the how do you do fellow children thing. Because Superboy does have angst. He does have the anger, he does have the issues with Clark, he even has his moments of teenage social awkwardness, but that is not his personality. Those are things he deals with. That's not who he is. And I'm not saying, oh, you're messing with my favourite characters and I don't like it. No, I have said previously, I am not only open to change, I want it. Just if you were going to change something, make it better, or at least make it worthwhile on its own. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. We're talking about Reign of the Supermen. Let's get back to it. I know a press coverage montage is rightly considered a lazy way to establish things, but Since perception is a big theme of this film and journalism plays a huge role in it, I think it's pretty appropriate. The opening also established that it's not only Superman that's being missed, Clark is too. That is something I think a lot of comics are missing when characters die. We often see the fallout of a place being left with no protector, but less often do we see the personal fallout of a loved one dying. I'd have to revisit the comic to answer the question of whether or not they did it well, but I think the movie did. It's also nice to see Lois bonding with the Kents and showing how they're coping. I'm less keen about her talk with Wonder Woman, as it again brings up
Kal-El and I had a special bond.
That. But it is nice to see a tiny sliver of vulnerability from Diana as she talks about not having many girlfriends. They have some girl talk.
Just between us. I like the brutal one with the visor. But apparently I have a type.
Nope. I've already went on an inexcusably long tangent, so I'm gonna save this for the Wonder Woman Bloodlines review. But I will summarize by saying Diana likes brutality.
Mine!
I don't know how many times I have to play that clip before it sinks in how awful this person is.
It's good to be back in the heat of war.
Fuck you! But back to Lois. It is a really good portrayal of her because she's channeling her grief into journalism. And it's that skill set that is going to propel the movie forward and aid in getting Superman back. Because this is a comic book movie. If you don't already know he's coming back, what are you even doing here? Now, I think Lois will be a point of contention when it comes to whether or not you like Reign of the Supermen, but I'll save that for the conclusion. So, as a part of her journalistic investigation, she goes to a Luthor gala where he unveils Superboy and his plan to make LexCorp the protector of the world since his last plan failed so spectacularly. It is actually a pretty decent idea, but Lex failed to take into consideration one little thing. He is a teenage boy. Do you have any idea how difficult teenagers are in their base form? You are dealing with a super teen here. Lex, I know you haven't had many occasions to be around children, but what were you thinking? Lois goes snooping around and is very successful because I suppose teenage boys aren't the only horny ones around, and gets the information that Superboy is a clone of Clark before she's interrupted by Lex Luthor, who is better here than in the last movie, but again, that's something I'll save for the conclusion. Meanwhile, outside, we get to see our second Superman in action, who talks like an android and seems to be far more brutal than we've seen before. There is a fight between him and Superboy, and our third and fourth Superman join in, causing the Eradicator to leave, and it's revealed that some funny business is going on in the Fortress of Solitude. Now, I thought the fight was pretty decent at showing us the capabilities and limitations of each Superman, and also keeping you guessing as to which ones you can trust. Don't hold on to that feeling, it won't last long. We leave off with Lois introducing herself to Superboy, and Superboy saying this.
So, how old are you?
Excuse me? How old are you?
About 6 months.
That was revolting.
Cyborg Superman visits Lois, claiming to be the original who died in her arms, saying he doesn't remember their time together, but he remembers that they were close, and asks her to use her journalistic voice to help get the public on his side so he can do some good. Luthor isn't happy that the other Supermen are getting better press, and another thing I really appreciate is the relationship between Superboy and Luthor, as it kind of resembles an abusive, demanding parent dynamic. Because I think that the only decent thing Jeff Johns added to the Superboy character was the revelation that the human side of his DNA came from Lex Luthor, even if what he did with that premise was stupid. And again, they have a really decent understanding of Superboy. He is a kid. He's a well-meaning kid, but also cocky and a little bit full of himself. The idea that he doesn't like being called Superboy,
It's Superman.
is lifted straight from those comics. And they get it. They just get it. I love it when the DCAMU gets it. In order to get better press, Luthor signs up Superboy to protect the president in order to get her backing, which puts them in competition with the League, who have also been asked to do this. Why is Batman's characterization better in all the movies that are not his own? The League doesn't appreciate the help.
Wait, did he just say chillax?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Can we speed this up? Because if I'm not home by dinner, Iris is gonna kill me.
Way to have a secret identity, Barry. During the opening of the new Hall of Justice, alien robots attack and Cyborg Superman saves the president, but seems to have been suspiciously waiting for the opportunity, solving the mystery about who is trustworthy. It appears that the League are dead, leaving Cyborg Superman as the only viable hero left. And then we have the realization about the Luthor side of Superboy's parentage, and Jesus Christ, child murder! Luthor ultimately decides against it, thinking that it would be a wasted investment, and another point in the movie's favour is their handling of this. You may say Superboy is underreacting here, but considering the earth-shattering realisation, coupled with the fact that he has been artificially grown in a test tube for Luthor's purpose, yeah, I think they did a good job. Just the animation on Superboy's face here says enough for me, and it drives home the abusive parental dynamic even more. Cyborg Superman visits the grave of Teddy Henshaw, and if you were paying attention in the last film, that's the mystery solved for you. And it is revealed that Darkseid was behind this the whole time. And don't you love it when people just randomly start narrating their shared past with you?
To think that all this was made possible when my doomsday weapon obliterated your primitive spacecraft.
I know. I was there.
I plucked your lifeless corpse from the void and handed you a chance.
Pretty sure you told me this before you sent me to Earth.
All because a Kryptonian failed you.
Once again, I was there. Cyborg Superman pitches the idea of a cyborg league and asks for volunteers. It's actually pretty clever that he's trying to take over the planet from the inside using people's fear and ego. Superboy is taking the recent revelations pretty hard and has a sweet bonding moment with Lois. Steel tracks the Eradicator to the Fortress of Solitude and is attacked by him, and we find out that he is a hologram meant to protect Superman before he wakes up, and I am loving the hair. Never cut it. Connor decides he wants to help, breaking free from Luthor.
So, what's the plan, Dad?
In the comics, unlike Batman and the Robins, Connor and Clark never really had a parental relationship. He really had that kind of relationship more with Ma and Pa Kent. Clark was more like a friendly older cousin, which considering the ending seems to be what they're going for here. We find out where the League is, which is on Apokolips, and our good Supermen head to Metropolis in the spaceship because Clark hasn't been exposed to the sun long enough for his powers to fully return. It is revealed that Darkseid has control of Henshaw's mind, but he's breaking free. Not because he wants to be rid of the man enslaving him, but because he alone wants to be the one to kill Superman. That's the one thing Darkseid didn't count on. Spite. Clark finds Henshaw and a fight ensues as Henshaw wants Clark to watch Lois die in revenge for having to watch his wife die because Superman didn't save them. Now, this motivation would be kind of flimsy in other circumstances, but the instability established in the last film, along with the mind being messed with, makes it pretty believable. Lois realises that Clark needs more sunlight and opens the barriers of the satellite, letting it in, allowing Clark to win. We get our big romantic moment, the Justice League are brought back, Clark Kent is returned to life courtesy of Martian Manhunter, Connor goes off to live with the Kents, and all is right with the world. Except for the looming threat of Apokolips, but let's just leave that for the after credits scene. So yeah, that was Reign of the Supermen, and I can very easily see people taking issue with a lot of things here. First, the mystery is over with pretty quickly, and I guess that is to be expected with comic book adaptations. But I think the main issue is the lack of focus on the Supermen themselves, which I will defend, except for Steel. He was just a blank placeholder in this film. The Eradicator, again, misleading name, didn't have much personality either, but the revelation that he is a hologram kind of explains that. Other things I didn't like were Henshaw's mind control, which wasn't very well explained. He is like kneeling in front of Darkseid on Apokolips, but he's also in this body, so Darkseid says that he plucked his lifeless corpse and put him back together, but his mind is in the cyborg. It wasn't very well explained. Wonder Woman yet again, but she is a very small part of the movie. And that's it, at least for me. A bad thing some people might mention is that it was backing on you having seen Death of Superman, but I think it is more reasonable than usual because this is a direct sequel to Death of Superman. It is entirely reasonable to expect the audience to watch the Death of Superman before they watch the aftermath of the Death of Superman. And that brings us to another thing I thought was great, but I think many people didn't like, which was Lois. Death of Superman was Clark's movie and his journey to open up emotionally and accept Lois into his life despite his fears. Reign of the Supermen is Lois's movie and her journey to uncovering the truth and getting Superman back, with Reign of the Supermen as a backdrop to that journey. The best part was Superboy, and I've already laid out why I think he's great, so I won't repeat myself too much here except to say that they got him. So once again, if you are going to change something, either replace it with something better, give me something worthwhile, or just stick to what was already great. Lex Luthor was good. He wasn't perfect, he still has many better iterations than this, but at least I could take him seriously here. And he did legitimately seem dangerous at times, but also his pragmatism and business-like manner was portrayed really well. It was good at tying in the looming threat of Darkseid into the wider universe. I've heard complaints about Darkseid's plan. It's kind of like the Thanos doesn't get out of his chair argument, except that argument held much more weight than this one. Because I hear, well, why didn't Darkseid just send his minions through the portal? And I say, he was going for a different plan. Infiltration from the inside. Why waste resources fighting a battle when you can trick people into surrendering on their own? Surprisingly, the humour was really good. It wasn't a funny movie right through, but it had some pretty great jokes in there.
Oh, so you think all cyborgs know each other?
Yes, but in my defense, I'm horribly insensitive.
And I'm literally the worst at secret identities. I mean, if you couldn't fool me...
The plan is to stop Darkseid.
And get the girl/girls.
Until your regeneration is complete, I must insist you abstain from sexual activity.
All right.
The characterization of all the League members minus Wonder Woman was pretty on point. The question of which Superman we can trust was set up pretty well, even if they didn't bother to run with it. And here is the big point of contention. The movie being Lois Lane's story, and not really the story of the Supermen. But we are with Lois Lane because this is a direct sequel to Death of Superman. We already know this character. We are attached to this character. This is what happened to the people we were with after the last movie ended. That is what a direct sequel does, or at least what it's supposed to do. Death of Superman was Clark's story. Reign of the Supermen is Lois's story. So yeah, this is one that I can't say with finality is a great film because a lot of things that I thought were great are things I can easily see other people taking issue with. Like people who say they wanted more of the Supermen. But yeah, I think this was a more than reasonable direction for the DCAMU to go in considering the way they left off their previous storyline. They had Lois Lane set up in the previous film. And even though this is one of the longer DCAMU movies, it's 90 minutes, whereas some have even been 70, which is what they tried to cram a whole Bat family into. Seriously, what were they thinking? But even though it's 90 minutes, it is still a very short amount of time for a story that is as complicated as Reign of the Supermen. So I think putting Lois Lane at the forefront and having her solve the mystery of where Superman is with Reign of the Supermen as a backdrop was the best direction they could have gotten in. So yeah, I enjoyed the film, and I think the longer we go along the DCAMU timeline, the better things get. We had Justice League Dark, which I thought was great, although that may have been my Constantine bias at work. We had Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, and I had so little complaints about that movie, it was crazy. Especially since they were dealing with characters to whom I had no previous attachment or even knowledge of. And Death of Superman, which succeeded in making me cry. And I had a lot of fun with this one. So let's see if the last few movies I have in this series keep that good feeling going. Right, everyone, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, consider visiting my Patreon, and I have a little favour to ask everyone. Now, WandaVision has recently just aired, but I'm not really sure what format to put a review of that in. I was wanting to do a knee-jerk reactions to it, you know, the series I have where I give an unfiltered, emotional, immediate reaction to it, then go away and think about it, listen to other people's opinions, and come back with a full, proper review. But I watched the first couple episodes and it really is just a sitcom. That's what it is. It's a 50s sitcom. So I didn't really have that much to say. There was a little hint of things going on in the background, but it wasn't much. It was really just a little thing at the end. It really was just a typical 50s sitcom. So if you guys have any ideas of ways that I can creatively format this review, I would really be appreciative, because I am really at a loss. I think I might just have to wait until I watch all the episodes and do one review of the series. But if you guys have ideas, please leave them below. Also, tell me what you think of Reign of the Supermen as well, of course, because yay, 90s Superboy. Thanks again, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.